Hello, I'm David Greig. Welcome to the roof of the Lyceum, where we've just had 2 beehives installed. But I'm hoping they won't be the only thing creating a buzz in our season 2017-18, where we offer a theatre that confronts head-on the tumultuous times we're living through, but also offers some escape from them. First up, we have What Shadows by Birmingham Rep. Here to tell us a bit more about it is the legendary Ian McDermott.
What Shadows, it's a bitingly contemporary play, except it's largely about this rather infamous politician, Enoch Powell, who made a speech, the Birmingham speech, he called it, lots of other people called it the Rivers of Blood speech. And I've had a lot of challenges as an actor, but this is obviously one of the biggest. But the play is not entirely about Enoch Powell. It's about a young black woman who would have been, when he did that speech, referred to by him as a pickaninny. And understandably, she's never got over that. But now she's in her 30s, she's a very successful, assured, argumentative Oxford academic, and she wants to write a book about him and try to understand why he did it. And also, in a sense, I shouldn't pretend, otherwise it's an act of revenge. It's her against him. Who wins? Is there a winner? That's what the audience is left with.
Next, the whole theatre becomes a stage in our immersive production Cockpit. Here's Wills Wilson to tell us more about it.
Cockpit is a play written at the end of the 1940s by a woman called Bridget Boland, an undiscovered gem. David Greig, our artistic director, came across it. He couldn't understand why no one had done it for so long, and I just said, please don't ask anyone else to do this. I want to do this play. It's set at the end of the 1940s in a theatre in southwest Germany, which is being used as a holding camp for displaced people. So all the refugees, basically a whole continent was on the move. So it's this real sort of crisis point of history. The theatre sort of becomes really a metaphor for Europe. So I feel it needs to be very visceral. The action won't all happen on the stage. We'll use the whole building. It's about taking the theatre and surprising people. The question really is, how do we live together?
Here's James Lay in Waterstones to tell us about Love Song to Lavender Menace, his play about the much-loved Edinburgh LGBT and feminist bookshop of the 1980s.
Love Song to Lavender Menace is set in Edinburgh in 1987, and it tells the story of Edinburgh's LGBT and feminist bookshop, Lavender Menace, and the people that began that bookshop. So we're here in Waterstones on Princes Street, and before it was a bookshop, it was actually a nightclub called Fire Island, Scotland's first gay nightclub, and this is where Lavender Menace started as a bookstall in the cloakroom of the nightclub. And what inspired me to write the play are the people that started the bookshop, particularly Bob and Sigrid, who were really young, and it's quite incredible the kind of confidence and courage they had. I think it's really interesting to look at the 80s in terms of the kind of radical politics that took place there, and the fact that LGBT was at the heart of those radical politics, and I hope that this play is a way that we can learn about the way people did things back then and how that might have an impact on how people do things now.
In November, we bring back our festival hit, Wind Resistance, written and performed by Corinne Polwart, onto the main stage. Here she is, in the countryside near Fala Flow, to tell us more about it.
Wind Resistance is inspired by my local moor, Fala Moor, which is just a couple of miles up the road from here. We're in Oxton in the Borders, and my son was born in this area. And that's part of the story of Wind Resistance, is how my son comes to be born and the connection between his birth and the birth of other children in this landscape across time and other women in this landscape. It's somewhere between a kind of musical, poetic essay that combines ecology, history, personal memoir, traditional story, and loads of songs. It's inspired most of all by the geese that migrate there every winter from Iceland and Greenland, and by the mechanism of the goose skein, which is this amazing cooperative, beautiful mechanism for survival. And it got me to thinking about what it would be like to be part of a human scheme. What is it that we hold most dear and hold out for one another? That's kind of the point of Wind Resistance.
For Christmas, we bring you Arabian Nights, storytelling at its best, full of magic and wonder.
Arabian Nights isn't necessarily the most obvious Christmas title, and that excites me. I think the fact that it's something different, being able to kind of find those little touches that make it feel like a kind of collective Christmassy experience. There's a million stories that we can tell. There's not a million, there's 1,001, but we've only got a couple of hours to tell it, so it won't be all the Arabian Nights. But what we're doing at the moment is kind of collating it and kind of working out which ones we most want to tell and most want to share with the audience. Aladdin, of course, is the kind of famous one. Sinbad, Ali Baba and his 40 Thieves. There's one, I think it's called, is it The Glorious or The Magnificent Fart? Colour, heat, magic, adventure and song. I'll commit to those 5 things.
In Dreich, January, we take a trip to the heat of French colonial Vietnam for an exotic story of first love. Here, Fleur Darkin of Scottish Dance Theatre and Jemima Levick of Stella Quines tell us more about The Lover.
It's about a woman looking back on her life and a particular period in which she kind of discovered her sexual self.
The Lover is an amazing book, and it's really quiet and private, and it sort of talks about things that we feel and we don't often say to people.
Set in 1930s Vietnam, in Saigon, and she is a young white French girl, and she starts a relationship with a man 12 years her senior, who is from North China. Their relationship is frowned upon.
It's about the forces of nature within us as humans as we grow and change, and how relationships grow and change us.
You know, it's sexy, and we don't do that on stage very much, really. We tend to avoid it, or if we do it, we don't do it very well, and that's what I'm really excited about. I'm going to tackle that and to do that with dance and with drama.
Scottish Dance Theatre's thrilled that we're going to be on the Lyceum stage for 2.5 weeks. It's like a dream come true.
The Bell Stratagem is a restoration comedy which Lyceum favourite Tony Cowney has reset in Enlightenment Edinburgh. Here he is in the Georgian splendour of the Assembly Rooms to tell us more about it.
Bell Stratagem is a very unique play. It's quite extraordinary with Hannah Kelly. She's written a play at this time when basically women had as much rights as slaves did. 2 stories, as is usual for Georgian theatre, one of which is that Letitia Hardy is betrothed to Doricourt, who's come back from his travels, and finds her a bit uninteresting compared to the beauties he's seen abroad, and she sets out to win his heart. And the other one is Lady Frances, who comes from the countryside and into this big, exciting Edinburgh city, and is a bit mollycoddled and sheltered by her husband. And she meets 2 wonderful old ladies who take her out and show her the town. It's very, very interesting to hear a woman's voice in this period. The Enlightenment at the time really opened up people's eyes to the fact that we have a voice, we're individuals, and we have rights, and so that was a very exciting time to be alive, actually, and a very exciting time to be in Edinburgh.
Next, we have an exciting Scottish-Turkish collaboration. Here's director Murat Doltaban and writer Zinni Harris to tell us about their production of Ionesco's comic masterpiece, Rhinoceros.
Rhinoceros is a play about a town where one by one people start turning into rhinoceroses. It's this sort of extraordinary, absurdist kind of creation by Ionesco, where he's sort of using the metaphor of a rhinoceros for the sense that people suddenly, out of the blue, become unrecognisable in thinking and attitude.
Güçlü bir oyun, çok elverişli bir oyun. Onun için gergedanlar aslında seyirciyi de yeniden düşünmeye sevk edecek bir oyun.
This is a play with a really strong central metaphor that not only feels kind of pertinent and absolutely like it speaks to now, but it's a tale that is told particularly for the stage.
Projenin en heyecanlandıran tarafı İskoçya ile İstanbul'un bir şekilde birbiriyle iletişim kurması ve birbiriyle sanatsal bağının güçlenmesi.
One of the wonderful things about the original text is that it's very witty, and it's got this real kind of fun sense, almost kind of farce-like in places, and it's very absurdist. So I think it's been a light adaptation job because the brilliance of the original, but it's just about making sure that it's really just going to sit perfectly on the Lyceum stage.
In a seaside holiday resort, a marriage falls apart. In Creditors, Strindberg's roller coaster of sex, lies and revenge. Here's director Stuart Lang to tell us more about it.
Creditors is a play about a married couple who are on holiday at the seaside, and while they're on holiday they meet a third person, and this person causes them anxiety that leads to the challenging of their relationship. Yeah, I really love Strindberg's plays. This is the third time I've done a Strindberg play in Scotland, and I think there's something about the way that Strindberg writes that's really unfiltered. He had a really troubled relationship with women. I think that he sets out to express his anger towards women, but actually the woman feels like she's the strongest character in the play. The characters are pretty monstrous. They feel larger than life, and they just tear licks out of each other. I think it's a really, really funny play as a comedy.
Finally, there's a chance for you to appear on the Lyceum stage in our extraordinary participation production, The Hour We Knew Nothing of Each Other. Here's movement director Janice Parker, who tells you how to get involved.
The Hour We Knew Nothing of Each Other is written by Peter Handke, an Austrian playwright. It's famously a play without words. And he sat, I think, for a day in a town square, village square, and just watched and got obsessed by what he was watching and intrigued by what he was seeing, and kind of by the ordinariness of people walking by and what that meant and all the resonances of that and the connections between people and the yearning for connection. I think movement can be an emotional language. It's our postures, it's our gestures, it's how we empathise. So I think somehow stripping away words leaves us with an incredible humanity or opportunity to really see humanity at its deepest, maybe. And we're excited that we can offer an opportunity for people who've never performed before to actually come and be our cast. So if you want to be involved, and we hope you do, email getonstage@lyceum.org.uk.
Tickets are on sale now. Whether you want to see everything with a season ticket, take advantage of one of our multi-buy offers, or participate in some of our lifelong learning activities, just pick up a brochure, and we look forward to seeing you at the Lyceum.